All right, here we go. Now we are recording. All right, so we got some new people piling on, but let's get into it. Welcome to your 2026 digital marketing plan for damage restoration contractors. And I mean, a lot of this will be applicable if you're, in the home service industry as a whole, remodeling, general contractors, construction. Even if you're, but if you're on here, water, fire, mold is probably some sort of your service. So a lot of this stuff will be covered around that. So let's get into it. So like I was saying, we're gonna set some targets, reverse engineer how to get there, and then talk about some stuff we're seeing to make sure you guys are paying attention in 2026 on kind of what's going on. So let me start with let's get you guys this link. Now this one is a PDF. So let me So it's a PDF in Drive. So you're going to have to download the PDF in your browser and then open it. So hopefully y'all can. All right, check the chat. Well, hang on. Wrong. All right, there it is in the chat. Click that link. I guess somebody put a 1 in the chat. Let me know that you're able to download. I know it works. I'm using the same link I'm looking at. But remember, you're not going to be able to fill it out unless you actually open the PDF file. But honestly, I kind of want y'all. All right, sweet. Lauren's all over it. So, but like I said, y'all have to spend some time after this webinar actually working through this. You're not going to be able to. This isn't stuff you just want to figure out in 15 minutes. This is like business plan, strategic planning, making sure you got everything. You think through the different aspects. This isn't all comprehensive, but as far as when it comes to marketing and sales, this is some good stuff to think about. Like I said, kudos to y'all for showing up and thinking about this. It's November, right? A lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, I'll figure that out later." And the next thing you know, it's March of 2026, and they don't even have a plan, right? So kudos to y'all for showing up. But let's get into it, and then I'll get you guys the calculator here in a little bit as well. So some of y'all may have been on. I try to do these webinars once a month if I can. Just about all things marketing, basically. But yeah, I'm the founder and CEO of Restoration Marketing Group. Been doing this for a while now. I grew up and worked in construction for 10 plus years before I started doing this. More in the general contracting commercial world. It's a little different, but anybody on here that does rebuild recon, that was more of the world I was in. But we've built hotels, schools, big new construction was kind of where the side of things I came in. And then, like I said, we used to do some pay per lead back in the day. Worked with a couple restoration companies, kind of liked them, and so I decided that was going to be our niche, right? And so here we are. But I've been on y'all's side, and then now I'm on this side. Our clients kind of typically love that because it's kind of like there's, I've been on both sides, so that's where we can kind of try to figure out what works best for you as far as growing and scaling. And I do the Restoration Success Show podcast. A lot of times I'll interview other people in the industry and we just talk about, what's going on in the industry, what's working, what's not, all things restoration. So any podcast listeners out there, the Restoration Success Show is one I try to put out there at least once a month. I probably need to increase the frequency. But look, these are just some of the reviews too. I just show this to there's a lot of noise out there. A lot of people, unfortunately, I'm sure some of you maybe have been burned by this stuff, by online stuff in the past. I'm sorry. I know it sucks. But it works, period. Is it easy? No. Does it work? Yes. And I'll talk more about this later too, but we'll show you some stuff we're doing from a tracking standpoint. But again, I pulled this. I mean, this is from October, but I was checking on something for one of our clients just to see. And I'm just showing this to like some of the stuff I'm going to cover today from a higher level, like it works. Because sometimes people are like, Jamie, I tried PPC, it doesn't work. And then we look at this and we're like, well, in 2 weeks, this guy got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. These are booked appointments too, not a lead. He got 8 from just PPC, right? And then this guy too. This is LSA in a week. It's like water. So we're like, all right. I mean, yeah, you can just not do it. That's fine, right? We're gonna keep doing our thing. But I'm telling you guys, this stuff works. But is it easy? No, it's not. So I don't want to say that as if this stuff is easy. But this is cool too. We have a wins channel in our Slack. We use Slack, and we have account managers. And look, we monitor the leads and calls that come through, and she was like, hey, that was a big boy. So she shot him a text, and he goes, yeah, huge, $120,000, one phone call. Is every one of them going to be that? No, it's not. I don't want to that's not normal, right? But they are out there. 120 grand on one job, not bad for registration job. So a lot of the strategy things we're going to talk about today can lead to that. Am I guaranteeing, all of that is going to be? No, I'm not. But they're out there. So that's what we want to talk about today, is how you guys can position yourself to get more of those in 2026. All right. So we got to start higher level, and then we're going to zoom in a little bit to figure out how we're going to do it, right? So the starting point is, any Brian Tracy fans out there, success is goals, all else is commentary, right? So a metaphor analogy, since I'm on the coast over here in the southeast, I don't particularly sail. I have, but this is anybody that has, if you get just, if you get on a sailboat and you just throw up the sails without figuring out where you're going, it like nothing will happen, or you'll start going in circles. Like you're not gonna get to your destination. But goals are like, all right, I'm at point A, I want to get to point B. I have to I need to align and reverse engineer and set the sail to make sure when the wind blows, that's where I'm going, right? So it's just having alignment and a target to hit, and then decisions and budgets and your team is focused in that direction, right? That's a 30,000-foot view of why goals are so important, right? Because a lot of y'all might be like, hey, well, I'm at 2 million, I want to do 5. It's like, all right, yeah, I mean, that sounds good, but how are we going to do it, right? So that's what I'm going to help you guys maybe try to figure out today. So to start, this is more of like a workshop too. So y'all write this down. I think there's a section in your workbook if you've already figured that out, or just pen and paper or Google Doc or whatever, right? Will work. But what's your average monthly revenue? What's your average number of jobs? The average job amount? Average closing rate? And then, the number of techs is that'll kind of vary based on how your company structure and all that. But if you want to put that as well, and we're going to look at some other stuff too in a minute, but I think I would like to, if you know your average number of leads, and then your average number of leads that turn into appointments, to go give an estimate, those are good numbers too, to write down. So, but this is a good starting point. Okay. Now, write down your annual revenue that you want. I mean, this could be 2026, or I would do this after the webinar, but you could think out 3 to 5 years. And this will all be easier when we get out the calculator in a minute. But here, let's just do that because this way easier this way. Here, let me get you guys. All right, so you should be able to make your own copy. All right, Lauren, I'm putting you, Lauren, see if this works since you seem to be quick on the. All right, the calculator's in the chat. Lauren or somebody else, let me know. Yeah, there we go. Cool. That way you have your own version, and you guys can work along with me on this. And we will figure this out. All right, I'm going to try to go through some of this. Again, remember, block some time in your calendar to fully flesh all this stuff out, but there's going to be a few key sections that I want to make sure you guys think about and understand. And there's a bunch of tabs at the bottom that you guys can play with. So this one, you can kind of look at where, your starting point, your average ticket amount, and then it will, there'll be some calculations obviously based on your revenue target from there, right? And I mean, you can kind of play with this because, it's not going to be this consistent every month, but you can play with, this is a good, higher level view, right? But we all know there's ebbs and flows in the amount of leads and jobs you get on a monthly basis, especially based on the seasonality, your market, your state, right, wherever you are. So you can make those tweaks. But this is kind of a good quick check on how many jobs you need across each month. Now, this one is actually, let's go to, let's start here. So go to average cost per lead by source. And again, y'all might not have all this information just right here, right now. This is stuff you will figure out with your team or yourself after this webinar. But here's an example, right? So let's say you do water and mold, you're running PPC, LSA, and then you got, SEO, GBP. And you can add other stuff in here too, right? Inquiry, 33 mile, some of the pay-per lead sources. If you're paying like plumbers for leads, just add your own stuff in here if you want to just get a blended average, right? But these are for example purposes, right? We got 72 for mold and 155. And then, a lot of times the mold and water, I mean, these are a little low on averages, but these are too, to be honest. But you get the point, right? We want to separate the average job by job type on the cost per lead, and then the average ticket or the revenue amount, okay? So we want to start there. Now, watch this. We go back to the lead generation target tab, the second tab. You can rearrange too. If y'all want to drag, if you click this tab on the Google Sheet, you can drag it to be the second tab. For anybody type A's out there that want to go in order. I mean, it kind of bothered me, to be honest. That's why. But here we go. All right. Let's say we want to do, and again, And you plug your own number in here, right? Some of y'all in here might be doing 10 million a year. You want to do 12.5 next year, right? So add a zero. Some of y'all might, maybe you did 1 million, you want to do 2.5. All right, we plug in 2.5. That tells you it'll be 208,000 a month. Okay. In this example, you plug in what's your average ticket. This is going to vary based on y'all. If you do rebuild, recon, you'll have a higher average ticket than the mid-only people, right? Mold, kitchen remodeling, whatever your services are, you'll know an average ticket, right? Plug that in. So then look, what's your average conversion rate from lead to actually like job? In this example, it's 50%. Okay. So this tells us we need 60 leads a month to hit this target. Because remember, 60 times 50%, look, 30. Well, this really should say jobs, and this is leads. See, look, there's an error. Y'all, well, you can edit that on your. This is tricky too, because honestly, I just talked to a client this morning too about this. What everybody counts as a lead is a good lead and all that is there's variables on it, right? We all know that. But at the end of the day, you got leads that turn into like an appointment. And then, because you don't close 100%, unfortunately. And then you got like an appointment / estimate that converts to a job, right? So everybody I'll talk more about that in a minute, but that's important to know those numbers all across the board. But in this case, if you close 50%, well, we need 60 leads. And here's where it gets fun. Or not fun, but interesting. This is how you actually can reverse engineer goals and figure out what's needed. If the average cost per lead in your market, remember, you can play with this by source or job type. Like you could use this for your pay per lead sources. But I mean, they ain't going to give you 60 leads in a month. I can tell you that. Well, I don't want to say they're not, but a lot of people work with us because we call them fishing poles in the water, right? Which I'll explain in the morning. You want to diversify your lead channels and lead sources to help get the consistency of leads and jobs you guys need, right? So this can give you an overall, if you blend all those together, this will give you a ballpark. So in this example, it's 250 on average, which some of y'all might think, oh, damn, $250 a lead. I mean, that tells me you're either in a smaller market or you've never done pay per lead before. Because some of our guys, I'll show you a slide here in a little bit. His blended average exclusive lead cost is about $209, and that's across water, fire, mold, and remodel, because he does all of it. But he is gladly paying that, and I'll show you in a minute, because 33 Mile, right? They're exclusive pay-per lead provider, which a lot of our guys use. I mean, yes, they can be expensive, but hey, it's another lead source. As long as you can close them, they're like, dude, I mean, if we make 15 grand on a job, like we'll pay $800 for a lead. But 33 Mile leads in his market are $800. So this is why he's doing online marketing too, because he's like, dude, this is 25% of the cost. 25% of the pay-per lead. So now if he was wanting to ramp up, and I'll show you again, because he actually has. All right, if it's going to be on average of 250, I need to be spending 14 grand a month. And remember, this could be across different lead sources, or it could be focused in on a channel, but a lot of times there will be constraints based on the lead channel, like SEO, PPC, to hit that. And that's where this is tricky. But this should be eye-opening for a lot of y'all too, because a lot of people are like, I'm doing 2.5. I'd love to get to 5. My budget is $400 a month. And we're like, good luck. Now there's yes, you can get referral partners and all that. You can hire BDMs, but what are you doing? The BDM doing it for free? No, you got to pay them, right? So this puts it in reality on like setting your goals and targets, and getting your expectations on what it's going to take to get there. And then, yes, over time, you always want to be working on driving down your per lead cost, which is, us as a digital marketing company, we work on that. You on your end, you want to be working on increasing your closing rate, because that helps bring down this total number right here, the budget. So before I move on, does this make sense, or like put questions y'all have in the chat? Because this is, it's not laid out as cleanly as I wanted, because as I talk through it, or maybe I'm just explaining it awful, but what questions y'all have about this? Because this is important. Because what we're gonna do for a lot of the rest of the webinar is like, all right, where does the budget need to be deployed, and what can we do to hit these 60 leads a month? All right, is everybody follow me? No questions? Y'all good? All right. Y'all are either completely lost or it just makes perfect sense. All right, cool. So now let's pop over to budget allocations. So this is a different example, right? So let's say, it's 2026, we want to, hit 1 million. We're planning on, in this, I just put 15%. You'll hear all different kind of stuff here. But it's anywhere from 5 to 20. I mean, some people 20 to 30, because they're like, dude, I don't mind keeping my margin low. I'm trying to grow this bad boy, right? So what's a way to do that? You got to spend money in marketing and sales, right? So in this example, I just put 15%, right? So that's 150 grand. That gives you 12,500 average monthly budget. And then you can, if you want to play with this too, this is a cool thing. This is why I love Google Sheets, is you can just like tweak it however you want it. But let's say you want to put 75% towards online and 20% on offline, and 5 for, referrals from old customers or whatever. And remember, you can tweak this however you want. So it'll break down your total budget by online, offline, and repeat business here on the annual basis. Okay. And then you can take that's broken down by month. So we see we got about 9 grand for online stuff, 2,500 for offline, and about $600 for a repeat. Now, obviously, tweak these numbers based on your setup. And again, remember, this is higher level, but this will just give you an idea. And then if you scroll down, we can kind of like, all right, well, we know we have the 112,000. Well, maybe we know we want to do, SEO, GBP stuff, PPC, LSA stuff, and we want to do 20% for pay per lead, right? So here's your annual budget based on, this is paid ads, this is organic, and then this is pay per lead, right? So if y'all wanted to like add in this on your sheet, you can. Remember, tweak this for your own, but this will maybe give you all some clarity. Then divide it by 12, right? It's like, all right, cool. 3,000 for SEO GBP, 4,000 for, PPC, I mean, this could be broken up with LSA. And then paper lead, we got 1,800, right? And I mean, maybe you don't do all of these though, right? You can put 0 and shift more of the spend to the paid sources or organic, right? Those are things that like we look at whenever we, we talk with a company. We call them, we do free discovery calls, consultations, whatever. I need to put that in the chat in case any of y'all have to bounce early. Yeah, here. I mean, this webinar is for you guys. I don't want to. This is not a sales call, but some of y'all, I've had people message me, but hey man, like we know we want to talk with you guys. But I got to bounce. I got to run out to a job, so I'm gonna put that link in the chat real quick just so y'all have it. Hang on, I got a million tabs open over here. But again, put questions in the chat if something on here doesn't make sense, if you're not following along. But you would want to tweak these based on your market, the size of your company, and especially from an online perspective, like what you already have in place, because that's where we advise. Like we don't advise everybody do the same thing. It depends on where you're at. Like sometimes it's not smart to do something out of the gates. It's like, man, you got to get this figured out first. So yeah, just in case any of y'all want to talk to us to help you figure out the allocation of some of this, book a call for sure, and we can we'll look at your specific situation because it'll vary. All right, sweet. So this is where you break it down by source. And then, I already showed you all this, but play with your average cost per lead from all your sources. And you can look at your average revenue and job by source too. And then there's a calendar. Like if you guys want to do themed months, you can, because here's the thing, based on where you're at, there will be, anybody in the Northeast that's on this call, pipe burst, winter storms, whatever, right? A lot of times in Texas, there's some good stuff in the wintertime. But a lot of our people in the Northwest and Northeast, like there's a lot of burst pipes, winter storm. There's a lot of money to be made in those, right? So that's where you want your marketing and campaigns catered to that. Well, look, that's why I already have that in here in December, right? And I wasn't even looking. Yeah, here we go. That's why that's there. Hurricane season for anybody in Florida, that type of stuff. So just think through, if you're in a humidity area, maybe mold picks up in the spring and summer. So, just think through it, because you and your marketing partner or your internal team or whoever, like you want to be on the same page to help you guys get more of what you want, right? Instead of just blindly doing marketing. And then sometimes, and I put this note on here, I mean, it's up to you to follow local laws, regulations, what you can and can't do. Because I know, like, when it comes to the insurance game and deductibles, like it varies. And it varies by state, and we hear stuff all over. So that's on you to know what you can and can't do. But sometimes, a coupon or a discount or whatever. I mean, sometimes what we'll do too, because some of our people do remodeling, like if they do rebuild recon, like you could email your existing past customers if things are slow and it's springtime or whatever. Hey, we're giving 10% off kitchen remodels this month. Book a call here to learn more. I mean, I just made that up on the fly, but you see the point. To stir things up and to use the database you already have, even if you got one kitchen job from one email blast, and and it would have been a $25,000 job, and you gave them a 10% discount, like, I mean, I say that's worth it, right? I mean, again, you can tweak it to this specific to your business. So that's again, go deeper on this on your whenever you can after this, but this tab extremely important to kind of think through where you're going to deploy some of your funds. I mean, this one right here is one of the most simple calculations, but one of the most imperative. Because if you know in your market the average cost per lead, which your marketing company or somebody in your office, like somebody should have this and be able to get this information for you. Okay. So once you know that, this is the number that you need to eat, sleep, and breathe all day, every day, right here, right? I need 60 leads a month. If I know it's going to math out to be 2.5 next year, how am I going to get to 60? Right. And that could be from online and offline too. It doesn't just have to be from online sources, but 60 leads a month. What's that? Divided by, 30. There you go. 2 a day. Most of y'all are probably 24/7. You do, take calls on the weekends. I mean, on average, right? There's 30 days in a month. So I need 2 leads a day. So that's huge. A lot of people don't think that. They're like, dude, I just need more work. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, that's everybody does. What's that mean? All right. So that's the point of today's webinar. So hopefully spend some time playing with that, because it's helpful. And we'll cover some more stuff here in a little bit that'll help you guys maybe fine tune that. I'll probably do, I need to update I need to add a few things on there for you guys. But again, sometimes simple's best, right? Simple scale is a saying that, I mean, there's a million things you could do to map out different things. But all right, well, how many, I mean, somebody put in the chat, we need some participation here. How many leads do you need based on your numbers a month? Well, it could be annual or monthly. Anybody want to put theirs in the chat? 60. All right. 20. Shadi. Well, I don't, I'm probably butchering your name, but I get you just used what was on the screen, or you really need 60. 20. All right. So Lauren, so if you need 20, 10, yeah, all right. You're shooting for the million mark, maybe I don't know all your numbers, but yeah, it's teach his own, right? And it depends on where you're starting from. So all right, well, good job, guys, working through some of this. And remember, spend some more time. And I mean, the cool thing is too, any of you guys are thinking about hiring like salespeople, I mean, you could plug their numbers in here, right? Their salary or however you're planning on paying them. Like that could be added into the offline piece, right? And you could change offline marketing just to like one BDM rep. So you can get creative with it. And that's what's the cool part about this. All right. So we got our target, right? So now we got to think about how are we going to drive those leads? And then we got to make sure our messaging is, in alignment with where we're going. And here's like, again, higher level, there's different ways to drive leads, be it organic, paid, database reactivation. I mean, that was kind of like the email example I gave you guys earlier. You want to convert leads into jobs, right? And a lot of this is online, whether it's website, reputation reviews, you can leverage automations. And then you consistently want to be optimizing the results. And that's kind of what we just covered is, what am I spending? What's my average cost per lead? What's the ROI I'm getting? based on what the spend. So, and to go a little deeper on that, it's kind of, well, and some of y'all, yeah, like it's like, which one of these should you focus? It's kind of, a lot of times it's best if you focus your resources to fix one problem at a time, right? So that's where I was like, what do you need to focus on at first? And maybe you're going to do all this yourself, or maybe you partner with somebody to help you figure it out. But you need a plan of attack, because look, we have this here, right? Like, here's a restoration company. There's a lot of different ways and things that you need to have in place to have like a comprehensive, fully built out online presence would be the goal, right? Um, but I would pick your plan of attack and then deploy the resources needed to get there. Yeah, and I was checking on somebody the other day, one of our people, and again, because the people are like, man, and again, this does not happen. Not everybody can even do this, but it just blows our mind when people just don't want to do uh, anything. And I pulled this from one of our account. This is a larger, probably it's a top 10, one of the biggest cities in the country. So tall, it's competitive. And look, this is January through November. Um, but look, their blended is $209. Pay per lead, 33 mile is 800 plus. Now their blended though is not all water, to be completely transparent. Like, this is other it's water, fire, and remodel, whatever. So their water, I think, is closer around 350. But again, why would they spend? They'll end up spending over about $250,000 on one channel. So why would they? And again, this is a multi 7-figure company. So some of y'all might be, damn, I don't even. But think about it. If they realize, well, we're already paying them $800, so why would we not pay as much as we physically can for $200 leads? And at first, they were hesitant to even do this, and I had to, like, I was like, I don't know how to explain this to you, but I'm like, can y'all close leads? Yes, we can. Okay, so explain to me why you don't want to pay to do this when it's 25% of what you're already paying. Well, we heard the leads are bad, blah, it doesn't work, but fine, don't do it then. Y'all want to, hit your goal this year or not? Yeah, well, we're showing you this a way to do it. And again, not all markets or accounts can scale to these levels either, to be completely transparent. So that's where we do an assessment when people book calls with us or like reach out to potentially work with us, is we got to see where you're at and where you're trying to go, and then look at the competition to give you an honest answer of what we think is possible per lead source. Because a lot of people wouldn't be able to spend, this if they tried in this particular lead source. This is blended, Lauren. So this is like water, fire, remodel, all that. So remember how I showed you the blended? So like water leads, in their market, like I said, they're 350. And again, this is just this source. This isn't like SEO GVP. This is the local service ads in particular. So that's why, you can use the sheet to track this stuff. But again, I just threw that in there because I just wanted to show people, because the amount of people that still tell us that you can't get jobs from the internet, it blows our mind. But again, I understand, like, there's a lot of, it's not easy is the tricky part. I don't want to act like that's how it plays out every time. Like I said, this one, well, those people have been with us for years, right? This isn't that didn't just happen after 2 weeks of marketing. But so the foundation of a lot of this is a website built to convert. I'll do another webinar probably in 2026 to go deeper on some changes we're seeing there. But having a authentic, personalized website is important. And we'll talk a little bit about AI stuff here in a little bit, but I mean, AI crawls and sees your website too, right? So um, it matters because remember, a lot of all of this stuff points back to your website. And even some people are like, man, I get all my stuff from plumbers and referrals. Cool. Great. I love that. We always advise a lot of our clients get more referral relationships. But then we see they don't even have a Google Business Profile, no reviews, and their website was built in 1980. I'm like, if you walk in that property manager's office and they never heard of you and you walk out, do you think they're gonna like do a quick search? It's like, man, let me check out ABC Restoration. Damn, they don't even have a Google Business Profile with any reviews on it. That's weird. Let me click their website. Oh dang, this thing's janky looking. I mean, would you partner with somebody that's how it looked? And people do that. So that's where this stuff can help with um building the offline. And again, it's not going to be the make or break. I'm just giving you guys different angles that we've seen and heard um about why this stuff can be important. And then, from a conversion rate perspective and reviews perspective, I'll talk more about this in a minute. It can matter. But sometimes an example helps. And remember, conversions can be applied a lot of across all parts of marketing and sales, right? Like marketing and sales, the longer I do all this, they kind of like it should just be one department and they should go in conjunction. Because marketing's trying to drive the opportunity, and the sales is like, man, these leads suck. And they're like, dude, if you listen to it, like it doesn't get any better than that. Like it's a it's a they go together, right? You want to bring in more of the type of leads and traffic you the salespeople want, the company wants, and then it's the sales department role to bring it home, right? They have to kind of work hand in hand. Yeah, I'll talk more about that in a minute, Lord. Yeah, there's different ways to track it for sure. But look, this is why just thinking about the conversion rate is important. In this example, look, everything, all these are consistent, right? Look, 30%, 22, average $3,000. And again, these are averages, right? You have to plug in your own numbers here. 66 grand a month. Well, what if remember, all else being equal, if the conversion rate was able to change from 5 to 7.5, all else being equal, that's 99 grand a month. That's a 33,000 per month delta from improving one of these. So that's just why I want to bring up conversion rates and like why reviews would matter in a Google Business Profile. It's to increase the conversion, right? And again, this is why it matters. I mean, at the end of the day, all this fancy technical stuff, AI, SEO, whatever, like at the end of the day, y'all just want more leads, opportunities, and money, right? And we want to help the people that have the problems. And that's why, but what we do is a way to get there, and I get it. So anybody that has joined since I've been going, if you look in the chat, there's a link to the workbook you can download. So I guess I threw this in here for a reminder. But so remember, I just said this out loud. The point of all of this is really we want a high buyer intent opportunity or lead. Now, yes, you want to still capture email, chat, text, and all of that. Some people like to communicate with their own means and methods, but a phone call is still, one of the highest converting because you can handle it right then and there, answer questions, etc. So, all right. Well, while I'm taking a drink of water real quick, what any questions thus far on anything? All right. Well, Lauren, I think I answered your question. Shoddy, maybe. Sorry, I feel like I'm butchering your name every time I say it. RMG utilize recommend. So we have our own CRM called Lead Cottage, Lauren, that we just give with to our clients when they work with us to help track things. But a lot of people, so we kind of look at that different. So we treat it as a lead management system, but a lot of you guys might have Dash or whatever, right? I'm trying to think. My mind's drawing a blank. But what are some of the common ones? Dash is NextGear and Dash the same one? Um, Service Titan. Like y'all might have a job management system. So like we're not like you want to keep that in place, right? We have Lead Cottage is more of a lead management system to help our clients see that way they have one place to funnel all the calls and leads, and then we record the calls and then we listen to them and track them for our clients. So that way we can see where the leads are coming from, and then we want to see how many of the leads turn into booked appointments, right? But yeah, so hopefully that helps, Lauren. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of like CRMs, job management systems, whatever. And some of them, I mean, that could probably be one and the same on some of these platforms, to be honest. As far as like, but when I say job, once it's a signed contract, and you guys have to upload pictures for the carriers and all that, like they kind of some of our people, but some of our clients have gotten rid of all their other, like, dude, y'all, because you can send out invoices and contracts and all that through Lead Cottage. So some of our people have gotten rid of their CRM to use ours. But again, we want to keep things simple. We're like, hey, if what you have works, then sometimes we're like, dude, just keep using what you got. Like let's just get rolling. Because switching sometimes can be a little bit of an overhaul. But all right, any other questions real quick? All right. Some things to think about when it comes to enhancing conversion. And this can be across not just your website, but your social media profiles, etc. But I have a slide. I think this must be on my website conversion webinar, which we'll go deeper. But think about like who your ideal client is. Some of y'all want to do commercial only. I mean, think about the service you do, but you want your marketing and messaging to relate to that. You just don't want to be like, oh, we do water damage. It's like, oh, great. It's like, but you can get, you don't want your water damage turning into mold and cause health issues. I mean, that's more of like, I'm being funny there, but you got to think through your actual, like, who, what's their revenue. This is what we do. We unfortunately don't work with everybody because we've just found like a kind of a sweet spot where we know we can get the best results. And so we have qualifications around that because we don't work with everybody, because we want to make sure that we get them results. So that's why we think about our target avatar is a certain type of restoration, slash construction company. So think about that as you put your marketing together and as you put your brand out there and what you go after on a website. Use authentic, real images. It helps conversion rate, and people do business with people, right? They don't. A lot of they just want to see like pictures of, they want to see branded trucks, people in uniforms. They want to see a family photo. It just helps build like, oh man, this seems like a good, legitimate, real company, right? Not just a cookie cutter water damage website. Everybody's using the same picture, right? Of the couch, hovering in the fake flooded living room. I feel like I've seen that thing about 250 times over the years. But y'all get the point. Video. Video is a huge thing. You can do a little welcome video. Hey, this is us. This is who we are. This is some people we've helped. It really helps just show people what you're about, right? And then you could get more granular with it, do a water damage video, mold video. For the overachievers on here, you could record some footage before and after, then have a video editor put that into a little video for you. but it's just a differentiator of, why they should call you versus the competition. So that's where I have and then video testimonials. I mean, GBP reviews and just reviews in general or imperative. If you want to take it up a level, video testimonials can really help with that. And then yes, I mean, you want to have the phone number, mobile friendly website. It's got to be clickable. It's got to load. Oh, I have that down here. Site speed. Nobody's waiting 10 seconds for a website to load. It has to load fast, right? And then chat widget. A lot of people want to text. They don't want to make the call. So these are just some higher level stuff that you guys can do to help, turn more of the traffic into leads and jobs. So maybe you were looking at your website, but make a note to maybe go back and look at it after this to see if there's any small tweaks you guys need to make. Definitely check the mobile responsiveness. Make sure you look at how it looks on a cell phone, because obviously most traffic these days is mobile. So that's one that a lot of people we see don't even realize. And then when they look, they're like, dude, this. I'm like, well, that's been costing you money, so you might want to fix that. But you don't know what you don't know, right? So that's why I'm showing you guys some of these things to think about. And then real quick, something to think about getting in place, now or next year, or just something, because something I've seen with a lot of restoration companies, they don't quite, because everybody wants more. If you're a water, fire, mold coming out here, I'd say there's a good chance you want more mid jobs, right? But to all the other, if you do other services, the recon, the mold, the remodel, air duct cleaning, carpet, I mean, whatever it is, asbestos, speed to lead is the name of the game, right? So, yeah, I mean, 15 minutes or less would be good. Under 5, better. I mean, I should have, because I read a stat recently, I should have put it in here, but if it's under 60 seconds, your conversion rate like 4x's or something crazy. So speed to lead can really be helpful. And then for the non-emergency based stuff, the average customer must be followed up 5 to 7 times. And I know for a fact, because we've helped a lot of our clients with some of this. Like, I was talking to him, like, yeah, man. He's like, he looked at his board. We were doing a Zoom call. He's like, man, I got 8 mold quotes out there, but I hadn't landed any of them. I was like, how many of them have you called back to ask? Well, and I'm like, I mean, you can't wait on them to call you back. Like, call them, and he ended up landing one. It ended up being a huge, like a $25,000 mold job. It's unbelievable to me how many restoration and construction companies do not follow up to ask, have you made a decision? Who you going with? If y'all take what I just said right there and do that in 2026, you'll make a couple $100,000. Well, depending on the size of your company, you'll make more money. Period. I see it all the time. And again, I'm talking about the non-emergency stuff. Because that's a little different animal, easier to close. But follow up with all the estimates you have outstanding, please. But there's some automations that you can do to do this too. And yeah, you can like email, call, text, right? I mean, there's multiple means of communication. But there's automations too you can put in place to help take some of that workload off, to where if they don't respond, you can ping them again, right? So that's built in the lead cottage, our CRM, which is pretty powerful. And there's like missed call text backs and cool stuff like that, which I'll talk about in a minute. But a lot of this y'all can do yourself right here, right now, without even having to, use our CRM, or maybe whatever you're using has this built in. But again, let's use a math. Let's say we're converting at 55% with no follow-ups, but then the automated follow-up bumps it to 72. Why would that matter? It's an extra 25 grand. And that's just assuming every job was 3,200, right? And most of our guys, I mean, it should be 2, 3 times that. But again, I just threw these in here for a quick example on why this stuff actually can help make you money, right? That's what we're trying to do at the end of the day. And I pulled this something to think about. And again, you might be able to do this on your own, cool. But this is just where you need to leverage technology and use it. One of our guys missed a phone call, which is, I mean, we don't love that, but we obviously, everybody's human and missed calls happen. Okay. So the system texted this person immediately. Hey, this is Titan. Sorry, I missed your call. How can I help you? I have a roof leak. It went through the ceiling to the room below. I need help. I already have a claim with insurance open, and send a picture. Now, if that didn't happen, what do you think this lady would have done? She would have called ABC Restoration, Serpro, Restoration One, Paul Davis, Puro Clean, whatever, right? We work with all of them. There's no discrimination. Independent, franchise, it doesn't matter. She'd have been going down her list, most likely, to see who could help her out. But this engaged, remember speed to lead? It texted her. She texted back. So what do they do? Text her back, get her on the phone. Hey, sorry, we missed your call. We're on the other line. Yeah, we can definitely help you out with that claim. When's a good time we can get out there and take a look? Or whatever it is, right? Speed to lead can help you make more money. Is every missed call going to be a claim? No. I'm not saying that, but this is just the things that we're seeing that are working and helping people. And yeah, at the end of the day, it makes every lead you generate more valuable. So yeah, if you guys don't have, like, if you guys are getting a decent amount of calls and you don't have anything in place like that, for sure, book a call using that link I put in there, and we can chat and see what you got going on. But sometimes I love this graphic. Well, maybe I love it more than everybody else. But sometimes I try to simplify, because this stuff can be, because a lot of people think, hey, I need to Google's Google. Well, in our mind, it's like, no, Google's not just Google. There's a ton of things you can do on Google to generate business. So, and this is why, and I call them fishing poles for simplicity, right? If you know where to fish, which we already know, Google produces high buyer intent leads and jobs. The more poles you put in the water, the more fish you can catch. And a lot of people are like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. So this is where, like, local service ads, the reputation review piece, huge. Google Business Profile, Google Ads, PPC, then you got organic. And I probably need to update it. I mean, we're treating the AI overview stuff as kind of like with our SEO stuff for now, but it's changed up how the search page looks on Google, right? So we want to be aware and make sure we're taking that into account. But the point of all that is, you funnel it to different places, but then you want to capture it, right? It's going to be a chat, a text, a missed call, a call, other lead sources, right? This is where people can funnel their 33-mile thumbtack, whatever, into and then you want to, have the follow-ups in place to help you convert it to appointments and then convert it to money, right? And jobs. So this is kind of like, this helps, at least in my brain, I'm visual. Like, this helps me see the big picture of, like, all right, I kind of understand what we're doing, right? This is where it starts, like here, the little search bar, and then it flows through. So this is kind of what we help our clients build out and get in place. But remember, we don't do all of this for everybody, because we just want to, like, meet people where they're at, and then based on their goals and budget and all that, tell them which pieces of this they might need to start with, and you can always layer things on as you go. So if you want to take a second or two, like, maybe there's, because if you leave here with 30 things on your list, like, that's probably not ideal. I would try to keep to, like, 1 to 3 takeaways, maybe 5, that you can go and start trying to implement. So, you know, anybody want to put anything in the chat, like any aha moments or something that maybe you thought about or saw that you're like, man, I didn't even think about that. Or maybe we need to go do this or do that. But remember, a lot of these are some of the fishing poles you can put in place to remember to get to the 20 leads a month you need, or the 60 leads a month you need. Like a lot of this is pieces you put in place to help you get there. So keep that in mind. And then now, we'll track, more, or not track. We'll know, you need to know your numbers, which we kind of talked about. And some of y'all, honestly, yeah, now I'm thinking about it, because we've worked with some pretty big companies that didn't have a lot of this dialed in when they came to us. Or they didn't know. They're, you know what I mean? They're just like, man, I mean, we just hadn't had to worry about it. But have y'all ever heard what gets measured gets managed? This is how you know. You need to see the current state of things in order to optimize and improve, right? So this is kind of where, like at a base level, we put call tracking by source, meaning by fishing pole, in place for our clients so we can see, the lead quality, how the phone calls are handled. That's important. It's imperative. I should do a whole webinar on that. I might this next year, because it's some, any of y'all that, just to give y'all aha, because some of y'all are busy, you're running around, like, listen to a few of your call recordings, because this happened the other day too, because somebody's like, man, we're not, I don't know, revenue seems to be a little bit down the past few weeks or whatever. And I think we were looking at the lead to appointment ratio. Something looked off, and so we listened to a few of the calls. And so whenever we were talking to the owner, we're like, man, your people are booking people out a week or two. Why are they doing that? And he was like, really? We're like, yeah. I'm like, dude, no wonder. And so again, from our perspective, dude, I ain't waiting 2 weeks for you to come look at the mold in my attic or whatever it is, right? And again, this would be non-emergency. But sometimes people get so booked out. We've seen this too. Even if it's a waterman, they're like, dude, all of our equipment crews, like, we're 2 weeks out. I'm sorry. I mean, you don't ever really want to be in that state. But I've seen it. But people typically aren't going to wait that long, right? So that's where listening to the call recordings can be extremely helpful, because we let him know that, and he's like, damn, yeah, I'm about to fix that right now. And he got with his team who's answering the phone, and he's like, dude, y'all squeeze these people in somewhere on the calendar. So that's where the call tracking can just be extremely beneficial. And then you can start seeing your average cost per call. And you guys might already have this figured out. Cool. Keep using what you got. Some of our people don't, but you can start tracking, the number of leads and opportunities, the pipeline value, what they're worth, how many are converting into jobs by source. This is in our CRM Lead Cottage. And again, we tell our people, you're getting the CRM if you work with us anyway. If you've already got this dialed in and you're doing it elsewhere, cool. We want it to be simple for you. We're not trying to but some people are like, no, I mean, I'm not tracking this anywhere. So we're like, well, this would be a good place to start, because it gives transparency for everybody on kind of what's going on, right? And then something else you guys could do. And honestly, y'all can start doing this yourselves if you want. Like tomorrow. This is a Google Sheet. I mean, this is an example, but I showed y'all this earlier. So something we do for our clients, because we found it's just valuable for us and them, is we mark all the different, leads that come through, and then we mark it good lead, bad lead, and then we mark it, did it turn into a booked appointment, meaning, hey, I'm going out there to take a look and give an estimate. And that is this in of itself. And again, because y'all can build this and do it tomorrow. The problem is, everybody on here, especially if you're an owner, your time is valuable. And, if you're getting 50 leads a month, to go through and listen to all of them and do it. This is why they pay. They're like, dude, we'll pay y'all just to do this for all of our calls, not even to get us more. Like, y'all are good at all the marketing and all that. We just want this. So we listen to all of it for all of our clients, and it just helps us. It's just extremely valuable. So you can do this to yourself, or make somebody in your company do it, right? But this is how we can see, because sometimes if we're getting a bunch of calls, but we're not seeing a bunch of marked good leads right here in this column, that lets us know in that particular marketing team or department, hey, lead quality is off a little. We need to make sure, we need to check our search terms, make sure this is the type of traffic and leads our client wants, right? Sometimes it's a red flag. I mean, we're always optimizing and tweaking, but it's helpful to get to get this granular with it, right? Because Google and all these platforms and tracking, they're not perfect at all. They give you a good idea, yes. But then the day when we hear the calls, like, that's even more insight. Because, and in that way, this is where, and see, all of these turned into booked, not booked. I'm like, all right, mold testing, we all on here know mold testing, mold removal, kind of two different things, depending on the state you're in, the licensing, whatever, right? Some of our clients do it, some don't, but this is not booked. Remodeling, all right, maybe this particular client doesn't do remodeling, not booked. Water damage, I mean, for some reason, to follow means it didn't turn into, like, sometimes, people are like, oh, I don't know if I want you to come out, I'll call you back. I mean, that's not ideal, but not booked. Look, they didn't answer it, but see, water, so that'll say water damage. Somebody left the voicemail, right? Happened to be one missed call. But otherwise, this is pretty clean. Like, this, all right. This means these are good leads because they're turning into booked appointments. So this helps us and you guys can do this yourselves. Remember, this is where they're like, hey, man, we don't have any jobs coming in. This literally happened the other day or whatever. And we're like, dude, there's 8 in a week from last week. And they're like, really? And we're like, yeah. So, and one story about this, and again, remember, there's different, sometimes it's our fault. Sometimes we just want people to win and make money, right? So this is why we're trying to get closer to the whole marketing, sales. Remember, there's steps involved all the way through. Our job and y'all's job is to sometimes find the biggest constraint and fix it, right? So in this particular case, we're like, dude, you getting more. This happened with one of our clients, but dude, you're getting more leads than you ever have, so something ain't right. So we looked into it with them, and this salesperson, something happened. I can't remember exactly, but I mean, this is awful. But dude, we're all owners, and dude, this is real life stuff. Like, I think he was going through some relationship issues or like divorce, whatever. He was just not in a good state. And I hate that. But it affected his performance. And they looked into it. They're like, dude, he was closing at like 5%. And I was like, man, like, this is I was like, it's your company, you do what you want. But I was like, dude, 5% ain't good. So, and he's like, yeah. And he ended up letting the guy go. And again, I can't remember if it was divorce or whatever, but like, this is just, companies have to provide for people too, families. That's the way I look at it. Like, dude, I feel responsible for putting food on the table, right? For people. He let him go. The new guy came in, crushed it, closing 20, 30%. I mean, I remember he did like a lot of mold removal stuff. That's a 400 to 500% improvement. So that's where like this stuff can be so powerful. 400 to 500. The only thing that changed was his closing rate went from 5 to like 30, 25, 30. So that, hopefully this is hitting y'all, because like I haven't always thought through all this. I mean, to be honest, like I don't know everything. I never, but this has been like really insightful for us to kind of see the whole picture. So sorry, I know I went on a little bit of a rant there, but like this stuff it's gold if it's used properly. For us and you guys, because sometimes, like I said, it'll show us. Google will be like, dude, y'all are crushing. And we're like, well, the call quality and all that's not what we want, Google. So we're going to have to make some tweaks. So that's where it's helpful for us too. So I really just wanted to, because you guys can start booking this out or making this like tomorrow and start doing it. And it'll help you guys. in 2026. So that's more around the, the KPIs and the tracking. So, we got our targets. We showed you guys some of the fishing poles or lead channels that you guys can start putting in place. We want to make sure that everything, at least have the foundation in place to convert. And then obviously there's a lot more things you can do, but remember, we only want 1 to 5 things that we need to get in place now. And then you start chipping away as the end of the year approaches. But all right. Well, I appreciate y'all hanging on. It's 3:15. I go on my rants. I'm trying to get better at but I'm trying to help you guys out and add value. I want you because there's some points that, man, I've just seen a lot of people make some of these mistakes, and so that's why I'm just trying to make sure y'all don't. But here's some trends, and we're getting towards the end, so y'all just bear with me. But yeah, local service ads, depending on the market, your current state, a lot of our people are just straight crushing it with local service ads. Having multiple means of communication, texting, email, chat widget, going to be huge, stay huge. Some people don't like to pick up the phone. You just want to, meet them where they're at. Comprehensive, all in. We've been doing this for years. It's still working, and AI loves it too, which is just great because it's just, they're not going to trust one source. They're gonna scatter the internet to kind of get the average, which I'll talk more about in a minute. But you want to diversify your lead sources. Remember, online and offline. This is not we help with online, but think about how you can diversify the offline sources as well. I mean, that's always going to be a trend, and we should always be doing that in the restoration industry, construction industry, because lead and job consistency is what we all want. Because sometimes there's going to be ups and downs across the different sources. So how do you combat that? You have multiple sources in the water, or more poles in the water, right? Reviews and reputation management critical. Not only from an AI perspective, in some of these, LLMs, which is the large language models, which is ChatGPT and all that, they look at this. And I'm still doing I should do a webinar on this. I'm still auditing a lot of our data because we have data all over the country. We're in the US and Canada. And I was like, man, I'm starting to try to connect the dots on. I can tell you this, based on the research I've done on thus far, typically the more GBP reviews a restoration company has, typically the more leads and revenue and money they make. Now, because I've been saying this for 5-6 years, and people are like, oh, Jamie doesn't matter. I'm like, dude, it does. Well, now I'm like organizing and going through our data to try to like give real world examples based on population though and demographics, because there's a lot of variables, and I get that, right? So that's why I'm still studying it and going through it. But I'm trying to find the commonalities for you guys so we can kind of see to kind of know what to expect lead wise per source. And then automations, where applicable, will help remove the human element on some of this stuff, and save you guys time and money ultimately. And then AI is still it's here to stay, right? It's coming. There's nothing we can do about it. It's kind of like the internet. I started this company because people remember I worked in construction, and even my boss was like, Jamie, you can't get a construction job, or nobody goes to the internet to get to get help. And I'm like, dude, y'all serious? And they were, and I was like, dude, I'm not getting left behind. Like, and again, obviously, I think everybody on here, I mean, we use the internet to get on this Zoom call. I was like, dude, it's not. This is y'all. This is why I started the company, right? AI is kind of like the internet was. It's here to stay. It'll be powerful. I think it's going to be it's funny. I think some people are already kind of annoyed with it, because there's already like voice AI chatbots, but people are always like, we already hear it on some of the calls. Like, we're already seeing people just being like, dude, can I please just talk to a human? So that's going to be the interesting thing that we all need to watch is like some people are kind of just over it already, right? Because it's kind of been hyped up so much this year. But some things we're testing, and they're not quite where we want them on a quality wise, but a voice AI answering service, a conversational AI bot, right? That can text back and forth with the leads for you. It's going to be powerful, and they're going to get better. I mean, almost by the day is what's scary is how quickly they're improving. And then, over time, I imagine people will have, I mean, it's kind of how we have, like, testing some of the AI with the human backup, right? Will kind of be level one. And then AI overviews are already, I might do that webinar again in January. I already did one. If you go to our YouTube channel or our website, I talked a lot about, AEO, GEO, which I'll talk about more in a minute. But the AI overviews is affecting the first page of Google. We got to be aware of that. And then ranking in the LLMs, which, ChatGPT is an LLM and all that. Traffic some traffic will be starting to go there. So it's just something we all need to pay attention to, right? So, get your fishing poles in place, get your follow-up system in place, and just to plant the seed, um, what we're going to be working on and things. And again, some of you might be able to you just go out and build this yourself, whatever, right? I'm just planting this like because now we have automations in place, right, to help with a lot of the follow-up and all of this that comes into Lead Cottage, our CRM. And then we're working on integrating the AI piece to help with the follow-ups, right? So it's almost AI is going to be able to take the automation piece to the next level to cover when a human can't um, talk. Yeah, no problem, Lauren. Appreciate your participation. Reach out to us if you ever need anything. Hopefully you got the workbooks. Oh yeah, you did. You were the quick one to. But yeah, and I should be done here shortly for everybody. I know. Appreciate you guys staying on. And then here's some other. I should have updated. Here's two quick things I want to show you guys. Some ways that you can start thinking about AI and how to use it in your company. Um, a lot of these have a free version, but ChatGPT, Gemini, we have some things built in our CRM Lead Cottage, but you can use it to help you write the Google Business Profile posting. You can use it to help you respond to reviews if you want to come up with something quickly. So again, that's just these are use cases of how y'all can start tinkering and getting your brain thinking in that direction. And again, tools to use ChatGPT, Gemini. If you're a client of ours or want to like reach out, Lead Cottage, our CRM has some of this. But this will help, obviously you want to be doing Google Business Profile optimization. This improves local visibility, trust signals, helps map pack rankings. Why does that matter? That's where the phone calls happen, which equates to money, right? But this using these tools can save time and money on the effort required to do the task is the point. And then here's another just example I threw in here. If you want to do some short form video content, email marketing, to build authority, brand awareness play, then you can have like before and after clips, a meet the team or meet Joe, he's our lead technician, whatever, right? You can do a long form video about whatever you want, really. But Opus Clip is a cool platform. You can take like a 10-minute video and it'll chop it up into shorts for you. So again, you used to have a video editor, and again, it's not perfect though. That's the thing; it's not going to do everything you want, but it'll be done. So that's a cool software. And then you can use AI to help with like the hooks, captions, hashtags that you want to build into that. Opus will kind of help you with that. And then, there's some social media planners too. Instead of having to manually post each day, you can schedule out your social media posting and all that and be done with it, right? Spend 2 hours once a month, organize it, do it, schedule it out, you're done with it, right? Um, so there's different tools that do that. A lot of our clients use Lead Cottage for that. But Opus Clip is a cool video. Any of y'all messing with video stuff, that's a cool AI based software to help with long form stuff. And then I don't know why my slides are bouncing around over here. But again, I'll probably keep an eye on your text messages, your emails. I'll probably do this in January again. But I cover a lot of answer. I mean, I don't think the marketplace has decided what they want to call it yet. But answer engine optimization, generative engine optimization. It's if y'all have been searching around the internet, y'all see it, right? Google has Gemini embedded into its platform. The AI overviews, they're here. It's real. Not every keyword or search triggers it. That's why SEO still matters. We still see it all day, every day. Our clients still getting jobs from SEO, but from a different research, lower buyer intent, AI is stepping into that world quicker. And then you want to start thinking about how you get your company to show up in the actual LLMs themselves, meaning, the ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot. I mean, there's all kind of, but those are here to stay. How much traffic they take, away from Google, it's yet to see. We'll see that over time. But us being in the home service industry, like Google's still favoring uh, the Google Business Profiles, the websites, local service ads, because they know it's high buyer intent. They're not trying to read some research paper when they have an emergency water job, right? So that's the stuff we're watching, and that's kind of how it's playing out now. It depends on the query or the search result, and that's kind of what I talked about here. I mean, Google's still reigning supreme. Um, but yeah, comparisons, educational stuff, FAQ. This is where the AI stuff is. We're seeing more traffic there on that end. But yeah, the bottom line, you want to do both. It's not either or, it's both. It's kind of like SEO and the AEO. It's kind of like, people ask us like, hey, should I do pay per lead? Or I mean, this will depend on the situation. Or work with you guys and focus on my own brand. We're like, well, if you got the budget and if you're truly trying to go from 2 to 5, like, why wouldn't you do both? I mean, it's more poles in the water. So make sure you pick out a few of these for 2026. And like, here's kind of like higher level summary of online things that you can you could chip away at these at one a month or however you want to do it, but just make sure you get them done, right? Website built to convert. Make sure somebody is handling the SEO and the AI optimization for the LLMs. That way you want to future proof your stuff, right? Um, Google Maps, online reviews, paid channels, PPC, LSA, social media presence, email marketing, and then get your tracking and KPIs, all of that set up. So again, anybody that's haven't been watching it too closely, but the link is in the chat for the workbook. The link is in the chat for the calculator. Everybody probably has to get back to work soon, I'm sure. Spend some time to finish out all your numbers, etc. Write down your top 3 initiatives that you want to do for 2026 and get them in place. So that's yeah, so we kind of ran through it. Man, I feel like sorry, kind of an hour and a half, but appreciate you guys hanging on. this was a higher level, but man, sometimes we just gotta get the basics down. And I'm telling you, like I've worked with a lot of restoration companies, and we still do. But if y'all if y'all just do the reverse engineering thing that I was telling y'all, revenue, average job, average cost per lead, I need to spend 14 grand a month to hit 2.5. That's that's how I mean that's increases your odds of actually doing it, right? And then that'll be helpful too to where, if you're trying to do 2.5 and leverage the internet, um, it helps make it more realistic on like what it'll take to get it, right? Um, and then you're like, man, I need 60 leads a month. Offline, online, I need 60 leads a month. So hopefully y'all have thought about that because that alone, because a lot of people are just like, oh man, I need more leads. It's like, well, how many? Well, how many crews you got? Well, I got two guys. Like, dude, you can't even handle that many calls. Like, I mean, they just don't even think through the whole logistics and how they're going to get there. All right, and yeah, and if you want to reach out to us, if you don't feel like trying to figure all this out on your own, and you're like, man, I don't have time for all that. That's why we exist, right? We call our clients partners. We run with the online piece, and you pass it from your plate to ours, and we run with it. That's why we exist, right? A lot of our guys are like, dude, I don't have time to stay on top of all this stuff. I got a company to run. But yeah, book a call. I'll put that link in and we'll chat. And again, we don't work with everybody. Some markets we're kind of full because we don't want to like our people competing with. We're not trying to decide between two clients who we rank number one and number two. That's not fair. So, but just reach out. Either way, we can still chat and point you in the right direction on what we think is best for your situation. I do take pride in that, honestly, because we're not going to tell you what you want to hear because I think it's what you want to hear. Like we're straight shooters and we take pride in that. If I don't think it's a good fit for you, I'll tell you that because we don't have time for that and you don't have time for that, right? And that's we want to be respectful of your money and point you in the um we work. But yeah, I do have to run soon. I didn't know, but I'll answer a few questions if y'all want to drop them in the chat. Appreciate y'all showing up and hanging on here with me today. Hopefully y'all got some value. Go through the resources. Um, all right, cool. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for participating. All right, drop your questions in here real quick, and I'll see if I can get through some of these um before we have to go. Yeah, hang on. Let me